Alright, welcome back everyone to Ask the King episode 49. If you haven't watched part 1 already, I strongly recommend that you do. However, I'm answering a whole new batch of questions in this episode, so it's not like, or this part, it's not like you continuously missed something. Let's continue on. So our next question is from Dirty Deeds. Nice name. And he asked the following. He says, "Hey Phil, how is it going? I've been a long-time viewer since the days of your Left 4 Dead series way back when. Thanks for watching for such a long time. Holy moly. My question is, have you heard about what happened to Seth Rollins from WWE? On Monday, well, this was a question from a few weeks ago. So February 9th, Seth posted a nude photo of a diva in NXT, or supposedly someone did, on his legitimate Twitter account. Within minutes, it was taken down, but Seth Rollins had a fiance, and when she saw that post, I guess she became angry at Seth Rollins, understandably. How did he get a nude pic of a girl from NXT? And she took revenge and posted a picture of Seth fully naked on her account. Later on, Seth Rollins came out and tweeted saying he apologizes to all his WWE friends and family. Dope! My question to you, Phil, if you were Vince, how would you handle the situation? Keep in mind that Seth Rollins is a big WWE name. He's also a great wrestler, and firing him would be bad for the business. Thanks, Philio, and no, that was not a mistake. Much love from Chicago." Well, damn. What a scenario, right? And it's true. He's absolutely true. Now, there's lots of speculation. Some people saying they don't think it was actually Seth. I mean, let's face it. If you have a fiance and you happen to have nude pics of a girl from NXT, the developmental territory of WWE, chances are there's some funny business going on there, and probably you shouldn't have that anyway. And the question is, did he post it legitimately? Obviously, he probably didn't. It was either a really boneheaded mistake, or maybe, just maybe, and this is the speculation, his fiance got a hold of his phone, saw the pic, posted it to embarrass the shit out of him, get him in trouble at work, then went to social media, her own social media, and basically destroyed him by posting nude pics of him. The worst part is that the nude pics apparently weren't very flattering in regards to a little something, if you know what I mean. Of course, his finger length. How should WWE approach this? I honestly, I think that they're in a bad position, and here's why. You can't really punish him for it. And I'll say that with a grain of salt, because obviously, yeah, there was some, obviously if he was screwing around with his fiance or whatever, cheating on her, obviously that's set up for failure, and obviously he had some misconduct. But it wasn't business misconduct. The other thing you have to realize is that all these WWE wrestlers over the past few years have been told by WWE, you should have a Twitter, you should do this, you should promote yourself and tweet, but it should be kayfabe, right? It should be in line with the WWE product. Don't go doing adult-related stuff, but you should do this, and, you know, I don't think that any wrestler is contracted to tweet a certain amount of times or do this, but WWE's been all about how they're the biggest Twitter trend or whatever. They love it. So they kind of promoted the fact that all of their wrestlers are on social media, and all these wrestlers basically have huge social media followings because of it, right? So for an accident like this to happen, do I believe this was on purpose? No, I don't think Seth would have purposely posted a nude pic on his Twitter account. WWE is partially to blame because there's no safeguards. You're telling millions of people, well, I guess I take that back. You're telling hundreds of thousands of people, because that's the only amount of people who watch WWE anymore, to actively follow these people on Twitter, but there's no safeguard there to guarantee that the Twitter account won't get hacked, won't have issues, right? And it's kind of, it would be two-faced of WWE if something like this to happen, to say, oh, well, now you're being punished because of it. But what? How is that it's not in my contract. It wasn't a wellness abuse. I wasn't roiding or anything. It has nothing to do with my performance in the ring. You know, this is something stupid and superfluous that you guys decided to promote and told us to do, and it backfired, and now it's my fault? So, in that regard, I have to say, I don't think that Seth Rollins should be disciplined at all. However, what I do think needs to happen is WWE needs to cut the shit out with social media. If they are going to have official accounts that they don't want to have compromised like that, then they need to have official accounts that are supervised by people and whatever. You know, you can't, not that it's just unsupervised and that shit can happen on the fly, right? It just doesn't make sense that WWE, they want to be all about social media, right? But then they don't have professionalism when it comes to social media, and stuff like that can happen. So there you have it. I don't think Seth should be punished at all. Next question is from Noxalia. Hey Phil, longtime fan here. One of my questions was actually featured in your second episode of DSP Inbox some 4 to 5 years ago. Wow. I've been watching much less of your content in recent years due to my own commitments. university and work mainly. But when I do manage to get around to watching some of your playthroughs, I tend to watch you playing RPGs, like Dragon Age Inquisition as of late. Telltale games that you've played, and most recently, Life is Strange. Now, it might be that I enjoy these kinds of games more and that I'm biased, but I feel as though you seem to enjoy these kind of games more, and that they seem to bring out the best in you. Your humor and your immersion, which remind me of some of your old playthroughs. Do you feel as though you're more fond of one particular kind of game, or are you still pretty neutral when it comes to the genre? Here's the thing. I've said this over the years, and I'll say it again. When it comes to games, the games that I play, you're going to find what my style of commentary, which is based off of reactionary to what I'm seeing in the game. It's not a pro-level playthrough. It's not a highly stylized, edited playthrough with scripted commentary. It's on-the-fly improv comedy and reactions to what you're seeing in the game. Live. It lends itself better to a game that has more narrative exposition or something entertaining and unique about it. I would say probably narrative-based games and or survival horror games are the games that most fit my commentary scheme or my commentary style. Because in survival horror, you see how I react to the scares, you see how I react to the crazy shit that's going on. Sometimes it's funny, right? Or in narrative games, I'm commenting on the characters, I'm making jokes about it. Maybe I'll do some things that other people wouldn't do in a playthrough, like in Life is Strange, me impromptu making up songs on the fly, stuff like that. It's different, right? There are games out there that I play that maybe don't cater so much to a commentary style. I would say some of those would probably be the more action-based shooters. In Call of Duty, honestly, how much reactionary game commentary can I do to it, right? On the flip side of that, when it comes to things like Street Fighter or fighting games, my commentary maybe is better because I have some kind of a fundamentals understanding of competitive fighting games that other common people probably don't have. I remember when I played Injustice Gods Among Us, people loved not only my playthrough of the campaign, but also of the competitive gameplay. They liked the campaign because I had knowledge of the characters, because I had funny commentary to say about the narrative story of the campaign, and most people didn't do a playthrough of the campaign because they couldn't do that. Most people who were playing the game were only playing competitively online, which I also did, and because of that, we came up with all these cool memes, like we had the Zod Rod, and we had the Grundertaker. Remember all those cool memes that we had during Injustice, and it all caught on, and it was things that I said during my gameplay, and it got interesting because of that. So I think that my commentary style, being on-the-fly comedy style, works with certain genres of games better than others. Admittedly, there will be games that I play that if the game's not appealing to me, the game's not catching on, the game doesn't seem fun or interesting to me, obviously I'm going to struggle to try to give you good commentary, right? So, that's kind of what I think. Some people would disagree with you, though, Nuxolia. When it comes to RPGs, a lot of people say that my JRPG gameplay is boring because I'm grinding when I'm playing. JRPGs in general don't make good playthroughs. It's funny, though, because I know I do have a group of people who watch me just for the JRPGs, and they'll really like that, the fact that I do this wide variety of gameplay. I'm not just doing what's popular, I'm doing everything, right? I do a variety of games. So, in general, I think that narrative-based games, fighting games, and survival horror games are probably my forte, alright? I'm not saying that there aren't other things that I, can do great commentary at. I'm saying those are probably the best, or when I'm playing that style of game, you can probably expect something good to come out of it. So, this past week I played Resident Evil Revelations 2. I absolutely loved it. People who watched it on the stream loved it. Check out the playthrough if that's your cup of tea. Just recently I did Life is Strange, which I thought was one of the base narrative-based games I've ever played. One of the best, excuse me. Those are the kind of ones you're going to want to check out if that's what you're looking for. Comedy gold, you're looking for me to hit it on all levels. If you're looking for me to play other genres, understand it may not be as good when it comes to the commentary, but I'm trying, okay? Alright. Next question is from Cameron. Hey Phil, I have a question about a big issue going on in the gaming industry at the moment. Publishers are those people who fund game projects and pretty much decide what gets made and that doesn't, because they're the ones who have all the money, right? Developer DONTNOD Entertainment has stated numerous times that when they were trying to develop the game called Remember Me, that they went to many publishers to try and help fund their game, and everyone turned them down because they had a female lead protagonist. They said some publishers literally said that it was weird to be playing as a female in games, and it's hard to sell any game with a female protagonist. Eventually, DONTNOD ended up with Capcom, who were at the time the only ones who would actually not dictate that DONTNOD completely changed the game around. This issue then happened with their next game, Life is Strange. Publishers said things like, you can't be playing as a female and kiss a guy because that's weird. Or it's good stuff, but why don't you make the protagonist a grizzly white male and we've got a deal. Square Enix were the only ones who, again, didn't ask them to change the game at all, which is why they decided to publish with them. Hearing these things upsets me because it prevents developers from truly creating unique experiences, and also stifles games from having a variety of different stories and characters. So what is your take on this? Do you feel the publishers are stuck in the past and gamers don't care whether they play a female or not? Or do you think that most gamers would feel awkward if they played as a female if they're male? Do your feelings on female characters also apply to homosexual or bisexual characters? Thanks and have a good one. Wow. First of all, I need to tell you guys something, okay? I gotta be honest with you. My answer is based solely on the information presented in the question. I didn't do hours of research to find out if what this guy is saying about, or this, it might be a girl, I apologize, now I've offended everyone. What this person is saying is factually true. Did DONTNOD have this issue when they were trying to get these games published? I don't know. Okay? I can't answer that question for you. On the premise that what Cameron is saying is factually true, I absolutely think that it's crazy closed-minded. I think that it's stupid, okay? And I think that it makes no sense if it's true. I personally think that there should be way more variety in games. And you know me, I'm the kind of person, I like a variety of experiences. You know, I've really branched out as a gamer since I started this whole YouTube thing. I'll play a shooter, I'll play an RPG, I'll play an action game, I'll play a turn-based game, I'll do it all. Survival horror, I love it. I love variety. But that also means variety in what you're doing in those games. A male character, female character, big burly muscly dude, little wimpy skinny dude who needs to maybe, you know, be more careful or sneak around to survive. I like, you know, I don't care what the sexual orientation is of a character I play in a game. Unless the game's about sex, why do you care about the sexual orientation? If it was fucking the game, then maybe I would care if someone was a homosexual, a bisexual, or just a heterosexual. I don't give a shit, you know what I mean? But I'm a tolerant person. There's people out there who have belief systems that are based on those things are adamantly wrong, and therefore, how could you have those in a game? I won't play the game. Same thing with if there are people out there who are of the mentality that, well, males sell, adult males who are the big audience of video games are buying bloody, gory, shoot 'em up with roided dudes, and that's what we need to put out every year. You're going to have people of that mentality, and you're going to have people who are a little more open-minded, right? And are going to take a chance at something different. I'm all for variety, all right? At the same time, I can understand if you have a business, right? And your business needs a hit, and you're looking at all these different options, and you say, well, we got this one game, the strong male lead, he's the hero, and he fights this alien race, and it's all kinds of riveting, great graphics, and shooter gameplay. We've got this game over here that features a teenage girl who supposedly has the power to reverse time, and it's all about her social interactions with teenage people at her university, and it's cutesy, and it's fun, and it's different. But is that going to appeal to the mainstream, or is this blood gore shooter with the mainstream roided dude, is that going to appeal to a wider audience? And I think that's unfortunately what a lot of these publishers look at, which I said earlier on this episode of Ask the King. I said business for the sake of making money is not the right reason to do it, okay? If you're only in business to make money and you don't care about what product you put out, the quality of the art that you create, then you're doing it wrong. And I think that's the problem with a lot of these publishers. They see big dollar signs here, and they don't realize that this could be the unique opportunity to create something that's original, that's different, that will put them on the map to be known for something different, and will actually, in the long run, help out their company more and make them be more well-respected in the gaming community. Just give me the gory shooter. And that's kind of what happens. Again, I don't know if that's the case. If DONTNOD really is having these kind of problems publishing their games, I feel bad. But I'm going to be honest with you. Remember Me wasn't a very good game. In fact, Remember Me was kind of a subpar game with gameplay that was okay when you implemented it, wasn't implemented fully enough, and a plot that was kind of forgettable. The visual style was nice. I definitely liked that. But it wasn't a great game. I think Life is Strange is a much better game overall, and that game may be a little bit more successful. I guess we'll have to see. Alright, next question. This one is actually a multi-part question from Namada. So Namada says, hello Phil, I've been a fan of your content since 2010 after coming across your Heavy Rain alternate choices playthrough that you did cooperative with John Rambo. I have 3 questions that I wanted to get off my chest. I'd appreciate it if you answered them. Well, I am going to answer all 3. The first question, what is it that got you into games like Street Fighter? I'm genuinely curious as to why you have become passionate to a certain degree about playing competitively during a certain amount of time. So you may not know this, because I don't talk about it all the time, but I have talked about this over the years in different vlogs and Ask the King and stuff. I got into Street Fighter because I was a heavy arcade game player. And what I mean is, yes, I owned the Atari at home, right? Yes, I had the Nintendo Entertainment System, but for me, I loved arcades. Video arcades in the late 80s and early 90s were where to be if you loved video games. Better graphics, better games, amazing cooperative gameplay. It was fun, and I was hooked on games like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the arcade game, or The Simpsons, the arcade game. Those style of games. And then, when Street Fighter came out, it changed things, because instead of being cooperative gameplay, it became head-to-head competitive gameplay. And it was 8 characters in a game. No game had 8 different characters you could pick from at the time. Wide variety of cultures and things represented in the game. You had more cartoony characters, more realistic characters, and it just caught on, and it got me into a competitive mindset playing video games. And since then, I was always hooked. I had the bug for Street Fighter. Whether it was later on in the 90s, when I was eventually convinced by my friend to start going to tournaments and leave the state and travel to play Street Fighter. Later on, when Street Fighter finally went online, I started playing online, gaming more, stuff like that. But really, it was that hook of wanting to play whatever was the best at the time, and being there literally by chance for the birth of a huge competitive movement of gaming that had not existed before. I was part of that phenomenon, and I very much enjoyed it, and that's kind of what gave me the competitive bug, okay? Second question, aside from doing playthroughs, what would be your next ideal line of work? I already said this. No matter what I do in life, I would like to be my own boss, meaning own my own business no matter what it is. I've thought about it, and I was thinking, gee, I could open up maybe a restaurant, maybe a coffee shop, something like that. You got to think about your clientele. And since I've moved out here to Washington, what I've seen an appalling lack of is real Italian food and restaurants. All the Italian that you get out here is either Greek style or almost like Mexican. It's nothing like real Italian food anywhere you go. There's some exceptions. There's a few places around here that do like deep dish pizza that's different. It's not really, I would love to have a real Italian restaurant. My God, make a real Italian pizza pie, make my family recipe sauce with pasta and stuff. I think that would be awesome. I'm not saying that's my end goal. I'm just saying that could be a cool goal for me. I don't know if it's ever going to happen, quite honestly. I've got quite a lot of debt to pay off since I moved out here, and we'll have to see how things go in the future, all right? Third question. Will you ever try the Ghost Pepper on a future DSP tries it? Thank you, Phil. Salutations from the East Coast. I'll be honest, Namada. No, I'm not going to try the Ghost Pepper. I'm okay when it comes to spice to a certain degree. I like things like pepper. I like sriracha. I'll have chipotle. But when it comes to these burn your mouth out kind of flavors, I hate them. I don't like things that are hot for the sake of burn. I like things that are hot for the sake of spice or flavor. So horseradish sauce I like, but if it's super overpowering and it burns my face off, no, I don't like it. Ghost Pepper I've heard is incredibly powerful. I probably would never try one. Okay, next question. This one is from CJ Packing, and he asked the following. He says, can you explain any differences thus far between Adobe Premiere, your new editing program, and your old editing software, which was called AVS Video Editor? What do you like about Premiere that you felt was lacking before? So for those of you who don't know, this could be an announcement for you if you haven't been paying attention the past couple of weeks. This is a recent development. I stopped using my old piece of shit video editor that I've used for some 5 years. Yeah, I bought it in 2010, and here I was in 2015. I was still using this third-party piece of crap. It was not a name brand thing. Wasn't known for being a good video editor, but basically, it was convenient because it was easy to use, and it was cheap. It only cost me, like, I think it was $60 or something when I initially bought it, all right? I was always afraid of trying to jump into serious video editing because the programs were incredibly effing expensive and there's a huge learning curve, all right? What I've found since upgrading from AVS Video Editor to Adobe Premiere Pro is that literally all the fancy stuff that I did in the video editor, or I've always wanted to do, is in Premiere Pro. And that Premiere Pro doesn't crash, doesn't lag, doesn't have any of the issues, the error. I used to get pop-up error messages or all kinds of issues with that old video editor. Whenever I tried to do something creative or fun with my video, it would fuck up, and I'd have to make it basic. I found with Premiere Pro that doesn't happen. What I found, though, with Premiere Pro is that literally the interface is different. So you have to learn a whole new interface. You have to learn what they even call things, different things. In order to mute a video, you can't just mute it. You have to go to audio channels and remove the channels of audio from the video so that the video doesn't have any audio in it. It's more complicated, but it's more fully featured and can do a ton more stuff without any errors or crashes. So for those of you who are interested in video editing, I highly recommend Adobe Premiere Pro. And finally, ladies and gentlemen, this happened in the past year, which is why I was actually able to get Premiere Pro. You don't have to buy the fucking program for $800 anymore. That's right. They've made it so that you can get this program for a rental. It's basically an ongoing rental fee. $20 a month. You can get Adobe Premiere Pro, and when they upgrade the program, you get the newest version for free. It's not like you have to go buy the next program. So just think of it this way. $20 a month. To keep using this program, you always get the newest version versus paying $800 up front, and then you have to buy the upgrade for the new version for several $100s when it comes out. In the long run, it makes more sense. So, I definitely am enjoying Adobe Premiere Pro. I think it's a great program. Some people will disagree. Some people say, well, what about Sony Vegas? I've heard that Sony Vegas is pretty good too. Of course, if you have an Apple product, you're using Final Cut or Final Cut Pro. I've heard that's like the best. But I don't know because I don't have an Apple PC, okay? Okay, next question. This one is from Bushidoa, ladies and gentlemen. He says, good morning, Phil. Hope you are well. With the sparse news coming out from Capcom regarding Street Fighter V, about when it's going to be released, characters, etc., what are your hopes for this next-gen installment of the Street Fighter franchise? Are there any specific characters or gameplay mechanics that you would like to see? Also, with Ultra Street Fighter 4 and MK10 being re-released for PlayStation 4 this spring, would you consider bringing back Fighting Game Friday or Saucy Sunday? Thanks for reading, stay ballsy, and keep spreading the PMA positive mental attitude. Well, Bushi, good question. Now, admittedly, I'm not into hardcore Street Fighter like a lot of people, all right? There's people out there who all they really do is talk about fighting games and that kind of stuff, and I'm not. Since I've started YouTube, I've really significantly branched out really, really widely, and you see I play every style of game. But it gets to me when a great fighting game gets released. Like, I really liked Injustice. I thought MK9 was great. Obviously, all the versions of Street Fighter 4 that I've played over these past years that I've done this for YouTube. And now Street Fighter V is announced and everyone's getting hyped for it. And we've got limited information. We just found out that Charlie, or Nash, if you don't live in America, his name was Nash. His real name's Charlie Nash, I guess, is returning. And he's got this weird look like he's been resurrected. He's half body of one guy and half of another. Really weird thing. And, you know, very limited things about the game. Apparently parries are back in some capacity, but no one can really say for sure how. It was funny because they had, at this big Capcom tournament event, they had this exhibition match, and really there were things going on. The commentators didn't even understand it. So I don't know. From watching a couple matches of it, I can't really give you too much insight into the game. What would I like to see? I'll tell you exactly what I would like to see, and I know most people will disagree with me because they're not from my era. They're all from the modern era. I want to see, number one, get rid of the gimmicks. I don't want to see bullshit gimmicks anymore. You know what I mean? And every version of Street Fighter that comes out, there's a new gimmick. Whether it's a new custom combo system, a new flashy ability that totally turns the game around at a moment's notice, a new this, that, and it completely changes the game. And some games it works, and some games it doesn't. Some games like Street Fighter 4, yeah, they had things in there, the focus attacks and stuff like that, that turned out pretty decently. And then you got games like Street Fighter Cross Tekken, the gem system and all that shit that everyone hated. You got games like Marvel vs. Capcom 3 where the whole game's a piece of shit competitively, but it's flashy to see, so everyone likes it because it's flashy to watch and it's a hideous game to play. It's terrible. So if you're going to make a real solid new iteration of Street Fighter, go back to your fucking roots, all right? Standard combo systems, Standard kind of mix-ups and cross-ups and footsies are required to play the game, not some stupid gimmick where you activate a mode and now you're twice as fast and double damage and you're flying across the screen like a superhero. Enough of this shit. Let's have a standard straight-up fighter again. One-on-one. You know, you want to have parries? Okay. Don't make them super overpowered, right? Some people really, and when you play Street Fighter 3 Third Strike, the whole game's based around parries. There's certain characters that are terrible because the parry system makes them terrible. Make it so that it's balanced, but that whatever system you put into the game is fun. I don't know anything about these new systems that they're putting into it or whatever yet. We'll see about that, all right? So, we'll have to find out what they eventually do. That's number one, is limit the gimmicks, make it a more straight-up fighter. Number two, make the fucking controls difficult. Sorry, I'm from that era where if I think you want to do well on a high level of competitive gameplay, that you have to practice, you have to have knowledge of fundamentals, you have to learn. Not that you just play the game for a week, you learn the pattern that's easy to do and everyone can do, and all of a sudden you can beat people like crazy. And that's what's been happening with these modern fighting games. It's basically find the abusive characters, find the pattern that works, and just do it. Find that 100% combo in Marvel vs. Capcom 3 that everyone uses, get the single hit, kill the character instantly, you win the match. Right? Bullshit. That's not a fighting game. That's a 50-50, basically, pattern game where you just memorize a pattern. That's not reactionary fighting. And I don't like that. I want a straight-up fighter where it's difficult to pull off the combo. It's difficult to pull off the reactionary move. Make sure Yukin's towards, down, down towards, plus the button. Not double tap a corner and mash the button to do a reactionary move that has invincibility frames, has little to no risk-reward, and is abusable as shit. Make it so there's challenge again in the game. Okay? Not every Joe Schmo who buys Street Fighter should be able to play it on a fucking competitive level. But that's the problem. I don't think that they'll do that because they want to sell more copies, so they're going to dumb it down, right? What I said, I'm going to say this, I said this for Street Fighter 4, I'd like this in Street Fighter 5. Make two modes. Casual, competitive. Casual mode has the lax controls, where people, if they want to use their shortcuts, double tap for a Shoryuken, and everything's easy to execute. Competitive. It's harder again. It's like back in the day, the old school Street Fighter. And you have separate tournament scenes. You have the casual scene over here, where all the people are entering and they basically can't do a fucking combo otherwise. And then you have the competitive scene where the more hardcore players can play. Then everyone wins, but it's more work for Capcom because they actually have to put that into the game. And then, finally, I would like the game visually to be more realistic. Now, when I say that, if you look back, Street Fighter 2, that was the game I grew up with. And you look at the graphics of Street Fighter 2. You look at characters like Ryu, Ken, Guile. Of course, Guile has the crazy anime-ish hairdo, but Chun-Li, E. Honda, a lot of the cast of Street Fighter 2 look very hyper-realistic in a lot of ways. They look like real people, right? But then you say, oh, well, Blanca is like a cartoonish character. So is Dal Zim with his stretchy limbs, right? So it's kind of like realism mixed in with some fantasy aspect for variety's sake. But it looks kind of realistic. Street Fighter 3, when you look at the game, they turned it into anime. Street Fighter 3 kind of looks like anime. So does Street Fighter Alpha. Alpha, in particular, looks like hand-drawn manga, okay? And they went in that direction for 2 and 3. But Street Fighter 4 kind of took the character models and made them more cartoony, I want to say. It looks like a cartoony game. Like the proportions aren't exactly right. I would like to see it look more realistic. Make the characters more realistic. Make it so it seems like a real street fight rather than some cartoon or written on a fucking manga page. But, again, I don't know if they're going to go that way because they cater to their audience. They know that a massive amount of their audience is Japanese, and the Japanese like that stuff. So that's my personal selections. I don't know if they're ever going to implement them, though. All right, probably 1 to 2 more questions, and we'll take a break here, okay? Next question is from Might000. Asks the following. Says, hey Phil, as a longtime fan of yours, I enjoy the changes that you've made over the years to become a more interactive with fans. Unfortunately, this has also given an outlet to haters who seem to follow you wherever you go. Personally, I like the idea of being interactive with you on places like Twitter, but I often feel reluctant to participate because of all the negativity that's surrounding it. I know it's not your fault by any means, but as someone with anxiety troubles in my own day-to-day life, the last thing that I want is to be attacked on social media while trying to leave a comment. So my question today is, what would you suggest for someone like myself who would like to be interactive with you, but would also like to avoid getting wrapped up in the negative drama that unfortunately seems to follow you around from place to place? You're absolutely right, and I've said this more increasingly over this past year. Basically, these people who, some of them claim they're my fans. I think that they're more kind of stalkers or abusive fans than anything else. Some of them are just doing it blatantly to be dicks and hate on me because they don't support me and what I do and the fact that I can make money and make a living doing this the way that I do it. And they follow me around. And unfortunately, in the past year, I've noticed that since I have really not made it a major case point to address the negativity anymore, and I do still from time to time, I'm only human, but you notice that every day I'm not complaining about this shit anymore, right? I'm just moving forward positively. I'm having fun doing what I'm doing. They've now moved on and said, well, Phil's doesn't respond anymore, so now we have to move on to his fans because we'll get a rise out of them. Because ultimately that's what they're doing it for, to get a rise out of someone, right? So if they can't get the rise out of me, they're going to try to get the rise out of someone else. And what's happening is people will tweet me, oh, Phil, I really liked your this playthrough you put out this week. And then 10 people will tweet them back, fuck you, how dare you like Phil, fuck you, fuck you. And it's ridiculous. If you talk to any outsider about stuff like that, they'll be like, are you serious? I actually told my parents about this during Christmas, right? That I tweeted that my parents are visiting, and these people tweeted, you don't have parents, your parents aren't coming, you're a liar. Like the most ridiculous fucking stuff. Anyone who tweeted about my parents, he's a liar, their parents aren't really there. I told my parents about this, they were laughing hysterically, like these people are fucking that stupid and sick, right? Yeah, it's true, they are. So unfortunately, yeah, if you do try to contact me via a public social media, there's a high chance that you may get a negative element because of these people who just won't leave me alone. What I would say is this. If you feel like you like my content, you want to interact with me on a daily basis, Twitter is the way to do it. Twitter is the best way to do it because I do see most tweets. I try to react to the ones that I can react to, and or, you know, I won't directly respond to every tweet and I won't directly answer every question, but I appreciate them. I usually get to see all of them, and I have a lot of fun when I'm tweeting at night. Oh, I'm watching this show. What do you guys think about it? Here's my opinion on this. What are you guys up to? Etc., etc. Those kind of social interactions are awesome, and I'm glad that I have them with you. But you got to have a thicker skin if you're going to do that kind of stuff and respond and react, because you're going to have these attackers. Twitter has two functions. One's called block and one's called mute. At one point, I thought block was the best thing on the planet because you never see another tweet from that person. Unfortunately, when you block someone, they know that you blocked them because when they go to tweet you, they say you're prevented from tweeting. So guess what these idiots do? They just make another account, which takes 2 seconds, a dummy account with a fake email, and then they go and they start it again. So the best thing you could do, it's called mute. What this does, you will never see another tweet from that person again. And they will continuously throw tweets at you, and you'll never be bothered by them or see them. They won't exist. To you, anyway. So they have no clue that you blocked them. They'll keep throwing malicious insults and things your way. And guess what? They won't bother you because you won't know about it, right? And you can just ignore it. So if you want to talk to me on Twitter and you try and you get attacked, mute the idiots and just talk to me, right? Or if there's, you know, anyone intelligent who's actually in the conversation isn't being a negative idiot. And that's how you approach it. And I've found in the past few months that I've been using mute instead of block, I've had a tremendously better Twitter experience. It's so much better because the idiots just keep throwing shit at the wall and it splatters there in their face. I never see it. And I get people now, right, who respond to me at the end of the day, Phil, man, I'm really sorry that this guy just kept tweeting you negatively today. You know, I was like, I don't even know what you're talking about. I didn't see any of it, so it didn't bother me. And I'm sorry that you actually eventually saw it and got involved in it. Just mute that person. You'll never see that shit again. And that's how it should be tweeted. People who want to only be negative, who want to talk shit, who want to attack, need to be muted. Ignore them, right? You don't need to pay attention to that shit. If you're a positive person and you're not just about attack, you don't need to see that shit. And that's how I'm approaching it now. And I've had a lot better social media experience. So there you have it. I hope that that will help you if you do want to participate. Now, keep in mind, excuse me, I do have an email address, darksidephil@hotmail.com. And that's been a public email address since I fucking started YouTube. Like, I've never changed it. It's always existed, and I'm thinking it always will. So there's no reason why if you ever have a personal message you want to send me, you have feedback, you have a, anything, you can always email me. Again, I may not respond to every email. I may not have a chance to even acknowledge that I read it, but I try. And I've had so many heartfelt messages over the years where people have sent me stuff, and I read it, I'm like, wow, that really if that's not the motivational reason for me to get up the next day and continue to do what I'm doing, because not only that I love it, but that these people are getting such positivity out of it and that kind of entertainment value, I'm going to keep doing it. I love those kinds of messages. So always, if you have something personal you want to say to me, you don't want to be public on Twitter, you can always shoot me an email too, okay? All right. So, the final question, and we'll take a break here. This one is from MJC0961, and he asks, "Hey Phil, I was watching your Hateful Truth of the Order 1886, and you mentioned not putting in any game audio on your vlogging channel, as it isn't considered a managed partnership with Machinima on that channel, and you don't want to risk problems with content ID matches or copyrights or anything like that. However, before you said this, you actually used video clips of trailers and trade show gameplay footage of the game. It's my understanding from watching other people on YouTube that you can also be flagged for content ID for using that kind of stuff. You just got me thinking, if you're going to start editing the Hateful Truth video and putting in game footage, why not move the series back to DSPGaming so you can have full protection from content ID and use trailers and game audio without having to worry about it? With footage of the game edited in, it's not really just a straight vlog anymore. Since it's a video talking specifically about the game, I personally think it would fit in just fine on the gaming channel. Just wondering what your thoughts on this are, or if you want to keep them on the vlogging channel for any particular reason." It's a fair question, and over the years, there have been these questions. Should Phil put this on a vlog channel, put this on a gaming channel, put this here, put this there? And ultimately, here's what happened. Some of you might not know this if you've only been around, for the past couple of years. In 2010, what ended up happening to me was my original channel, Darkside Phil, which was my original gaming channel on YouTube, was temporarily shut down for false copyright issues. None of them were legit. When that channel was shut down, I created DSPGaming, which was going to be all of my gaming footage. I had a vlogging channel called The King of Hate HD, and then I had a third channel called DSP Street Fighter, which was going to be for fighting game footage, okay? Ultimately, what ended up happening was I had to change that formula up. The fighting game channel had to go away due to contractual issues with Machinima. And I put all of my gameplay footage into this one channel, DSPGaming. When I did that, I immediately was getting negative feedback saying, "Phil, it's too much. Now on this channel, you've got game playthroughs, you've got game reviews, you've got gaming news stuff, you've got vlogs about gaming, you've got all this gaming related stuff on the channel, and you've got too many videos coming out at once." I had the week in preview was going up on that channel. Everything that had to do with gaming at all was on that channel. And ultimately what I got feedback was that if you were to separate any videos that aren't gameplay and you were to put them onto a separate channel, people would know, okay, sub to that channel, they could watch that, they won't have their inbox on YouTube flooded with videos, and ultimately the vlogs won't be lost in the shuffle. What was happening was I would upload 15 to 30 gameplay videos a day and a vlog, and people wouldn't see the vlog because so many videos went live. They wouldn't know, oh, the weekend preview's up, the review went up, and people were complaining they were missing out on this stuff, okay? So based directly on viewer feedback, way back when, I believe it was 2012, I want to say. I don't remember exactly, but I created the King of Hate Vlogs, which was separated from the other content to be the vlogging-only channel. So now, the Week in Preview, game reviews, travel vlogs, things like Ask the King, things like Hate Live, all go over there. And the gameplay stays on DSPGaming. It's significantly reduced the load of videos on one channel being released, and people have said it's much better now that I've done that. Now, admittedly, MJC brings up a good point here, saying, but your gameplay channel is the one that's protected. If you were to do your game reviews there, you could have gameplay with video and audio visuals and all that, and there shouldn't have any issue with content ID match. You're right. But I've taken over 2 years to basically condition everyone to know anything that's not raw gameplay is going to go over to the King of Hate Vlogs. If I were to change it, now you're mixing it up. Oh, now you got to relearn that reviews are here and this is here. And again, I still daily, at the minimum, probably upload 7 to 10 videos, if not more than that, to DSPGaming. If I were to upload the review of a game along with 10 to 15 gameplay videos, there's a chance that it'll get lost in the shuffle again. So what I would say, unless I get an overwhelming amount of feedback from you guys saying, yes, please put the reviews on DSPGaming, I'm going to keep them on the King of Hate Vlogs, okay? To your particular point, MJC, you asked, well, you used the trade footage or the public trailers. No, I didn't. The footage that I actually used in my review of the Order 1886 was all raw footage from my playthrough. So if anyone ever tried to say, oh, well, he stole it, you'll see it says DSPGaming right in the corner. That's the watermark for my raw playthrough. It is not a trailer that I stole or anything like that. And any company that tried to flag it would have an issue because it's my footage of the game, my playthrough. It's not their trailer or whatever, or their trade footage. So, so there you have it. All right, everyone. So that is it for part 2 of Ask the King. When we come back, we're going to answer a few more questions from the forums and then a few questions from Twitter and Facebook. Thanks for watching. I'll be back shortly. Again, if you're watching on YouTube, there's going to be a part 3. So I hope you come back and check it out. If you're watching on the stream, we're going to go on break, but I'll be right back in just a few moments. Thanks, everyone. I'll be back shortly.